guys ready? There's a lot of movement up there. Good? Okay. Back to work last night, getting ready for Baylor. The Pitt game was kind of what we thought, not really anything different than the post-game conference. So we're looking forward to a good week of practice and getting ready to travel down to Waco and play a good Baylor football team. Be a real challenge for us. They're the exact same in all three phases, scheme-wise, is what they have been over the last few years. So we have a real challenge on our hand, but looking forward to it and get ready to play Saturday night.
You see any difference, Mike, with Briles not there? Can you detect anything? If you didn't know he was gone,
You wouldn't know.
you wouldn't know.
When you watch them on tape, they look the exact same as they did the last few years.
Can you talk about Mason and his growth over the last year or so leading up to that big game?
Well, from when he was down there, played as a freshman, he actually played pretty good. And then since then, he's obviously into now 16, 17 games, and had a great game for us last Saturday. Oklahoma State traditionally kind of goes as their quarterback goes. He plays good. We usually do pretty well, and if they play average, then we're usually pretty average. And so it really hadn't changed. Most teams are that way, with the exception of some schools that just have better players than everybody else. But he's matured and understands. I thought he missed 3, maybe 4 throws last week. But overall, his reads and where he was at with the football were pretty high percentage.
Mike, what can getting off to a good start do for this team going forward in conference play?
Well, anytime you're on the road, you want to try to start quick to minimize the crowd sound. You want to be able to run the football well, establish what we think are our strengths in all three phases. Like any game, you just want to start fast and you don't want to play flat.
And as far as in conference play, if we can get a good start in this game, what can that do for you in Big 12 play?
Well, each week we got to win. It gets brought up a lot, and I've said this every year. People say you have a big game this week. Well, last week was a big game because if we didn't win that one, then we're not in the position we are now. So each week in college football is really the same for us. If you play well and win, then you got to get over it and work again on Sunday. And if you don't play well and you lose, you got to get over it and work again on Sunday.
Mike, a few years ago when you went down there, it was rain, miserable night, but the crowd was good. What did you think of the atmosphere in the new stadium compared to, say, the last couple of years, even when they had good teams at Floyd Casey?
Oh, I think they've increased excitement down there just with the stadium and sitting on the river. I would guess that their fans feel the same way that we did when we changed this stadium. They have a sense of pride in it, and I think it's a nice setup for them, and I'm sure they probably feel the same way.
Baylor's a team that really hasn't been tested. Most everybody else in the league's been tested. Does that add a mystery element to this game for them or for you? Do you have a good gauge on what they have and what they are? And do they even know what they have and what they are?
Interestingly, they've gotten to this point the last however many years. This is where they've been from a schedule standpoint, and there's been times we haven't played them this early in a while, but there's been times it's gotten brought up, and unfortunately for a lot of us in this league, it wasn't a factor. They look very similar to what they have been the last few years is the best way to put it.
Mike, you said at the game you felt like you were one guy away, one block away from making big strides in the run game. Watching film, was that confirmed what you were thinking right afterwards?
Well, not big strides. No, I didn't say big. I've always been hesitant. I said we're making strides. So, but I like how you're thinking. We had 4 plays where we had 6 guys blocking the right guy and 1 guy blocking the wrong guy. And in football, that can look really bad. But our missed assignments with the blockers has been fewer this year than it has been over the last 2 years, per average per game. And that's covering guys up. That's taking a step in the right direction. We've got to get on the right guys, and then our skill guys have to make plays. Most college football, I shouldn't say most, over half of college football players aren't executed or blocked correctly. A skill player makes a play. And if we can get guys covered up and give our players that will give them the best chance to make a play. And over the last couple of years, we hadn't done a very good job of that, but we have improved some.
Coach, is Pitt a defensive front with as much as they do, as many things as they throw at you, a good opponent to face residually the rest of the season? You get a little confidence, you guys feel like, God, we've seen a lot of different stuff. Does that come into play at all?
Some. The defensive fronts that that are in style now are fairly common in our league, and Pitt's defense would be very similar to quite a few teams that we play in this league, and athletically, strength-wise, very similar. So it changes week to week based on what we're presented, but there is some carryover from Pitt into the next game.
Coach Gundy, I asked Mason Rudolph 3 questions Saturday night after the game, and his answer was the same to all 3 questions, and we rushed for 4 touchdowns. Is that a shot in the arm for this team to have that kind of success?
Well, any improvement that we make in the running game is big to us right now as an offense, and I think our players understand that, even the quarterback, and that's obviously not something that we've told him to say, but it's been instilled in him, and so that's where it's coming from, I guess. But
We had fun with it.
he understands the importance of us being able to run the football, because that allows him to be successful throwing. If we're one-dimensional, then we become very average on offense.
Rennie Child was your big running producer. He was a guy who played as a true freshman here.
Mm-hmm.
How would you characterize his career, being that he inspired enough confidence to play right away, but has kind of slowly developed to where he's getting?
He's had a lot of highs and lows, and I mentioned to him during the game when he made the really nice run, and we blocked everybody up, but the corner was unblocked, which happens in football. You can't block everybody. He made the guy miss and took off and outran him for 70 yards. And that's what we brought him here to do. And it hasn't happened as much as it did really in his true freshman year. So hopefully that'll kickstart him a little bit and help us. We'll have to reevaluate Carson tomorrow and see where he's at. But fortunately, Rennie ran hard against a pretty good defense, pretty physical team, and that was a good sign for us.
One of the things that held him back, injuries. He had concussions as a freshman. He had a knee issue. He had some more concussion stuff.
Some of that. He's had some injuries and missed some time here and there, and then would be third on the depth chart, not as many reps, and just kind of a accumulation of a bunch of small things. But his attitude was really good in the off season. He worked hard in August, and then we needed him Saturday, and he made some good plays for us.
Can you talk about the challenge of going up against a quarterback like Seth Russell?
Well, just what they've done the last few years. I mean, their scheme is, they're gonna try to pound you running the football. They're really good at it, and as soon as you dip down in there and watch them, they're gonna try to throw it over your head. And the guys that have played there in that system have been very accurate on throwing deep balls.
Mike, you seem to be pretty happy with the maturity of your team. You've got a lot of veterans on this squad. This not only will be your first road game, but your first 6:30 start. And I know guys don't like laying around or being around the hotel all day waiting to play. Although Zach Crabtree said he likes it. He likes the night games and the atmosphere. Your thoughts on playing your first night game?
Obviously, you control what you can control. They gave us a night game. We play a night game, and when you travel on the road, we hope that we've prepared them over the last 4 or 5 weeks for being in a hostile environment. I'm not big on night games just because I don't like to lay around all day. But we have our walkthroughs in the mornings and have our meals and so on and so forth, and you do what you do to get ready to go play.
Seals had a big game put him in the big deep ball. When you got a guy on the other side of Washington who's a threat like that, what does that do for James in terms of maybe relieving some extra eyes on him?
And he not only had a good game receiving, but he played really well downfield, blocking, played hard. Might have been the best complete game that he's ever played. And he was tired because he played a lot of plays, and you guys know we ran a lot of deep balls in that game. So if you run one and you don't get the ball, it still counts as running a deep ball. When you have a player that has the caliber of what Washington has, like we had here in the past, I'm not making comparisons to first-round picks, but when we had Dez and Blackman and even Rashawn Woods, if you don't have anybody on the other side of the field, then you're going to get an under coverage and a guy over the top, and you're somewhat limited in getting him the ball. So it helps that we had those other guys. Lacey has been a good deep threat for us up to this point. So it makes a big difference that we can get a guy on each side of the field that the defense might feel like is a threat to run by him.
Cole Walter, she had a big game, 4 tackles for loss, couple sacks. Coach Spencer talked about how when he got on campus, he was just a long, athletic, skinny guy. You hoped he would be something like this. Was Saturday kind of indication of taking a chance on that?
Yeah, 6'6", 205 when he got here. Turned sideways, you couldn't see him. Worked hard. He's got a big dad, tall dad. Mom's pretty good size for a female, and we were hoping he would grow into this. But he's got tremendous work habits. He's got a great attitude. He loves to play football. He was a player of the game for us, and we can't find enough guys like that. There's not enough guys out there playing now that just love to play football that would play for free. And that's really a pretty good illustration of what he stands for.
How much did seeing his dad, and I know he brought his dad on his visit, how much did seeing him, I guess, kind of make you guys sort of see what he could grow into?
If his dad would have been my size, we probably wouldn't have taken him. I mean, because you would think that he's not going to be very big, but his dad is a big man and thick. And most of these guys, the male, in most cases, is going to take after the mom's side anyway. The mom, she was a taller lady for a female. And so when we put 2 and 2 together with everything he brought to the table outside of that, we felt like he would be a good risk.
Mike, let me ask a question. Is that science you're citing there where the player takes after the mom? Or just
like your in most cases, your receding hairline would be based on your mother's dad.
is that science?
My mom's dad had a full head of hair. He just didn't have a mullet. Worked for General Motors for 40 years, and they wouldn't let you have a mullet.
Is that why you're growing yours, protest?
I don't even know why I'm doing it anymore now, I guess. GM's having a hard time. I hate to protest them right now, so especially up in Michigan. So,
Coach, what else do you remember about his recruitment? Did you ever go out to Munster, Texas?
well, I remember when he came, and they had mentioned wanting to offer him after seeing him and then obviously seeing his dad. The first thing I remember was that he's really thin, and they had to kind of convince me a little bit. But as I said earlier, when you have a player like that, he has to have everything else going for him. He needs to be a good student. People at the school need to say he's a great kid. He loves to play football. He plays through pain. All the things that are important to a game. If you're a potential first-round pick, then you can get away with not having some of those other parts of the game. But for him, that's the main thing I remember.
So, Coach, when you say you see the same stuff pretty much from Baylor as usual on tape, knowing all they've been through, are you impressed, surprised, or just not surprised at all?
With their success,
Yes.
I'm not surprised. This question came up when we were in Dallas in July. There's been a lot of issues, and I'm sure that at some point it affected them somehow, but they still go play the game, and the guys that they had coming back who have been really good are actually out there playing the game. And that's really what you're seeing from their team now. Internally, I don't have any idea what's going on.
Are you surprised they've gotten off to slow starts in their last two games at all with that offense?
You know, they've done that some. Last year when they played SMU, they had the same result in the first quarter. They have schemes on offense that can hang out for a while, and then all of a sudden you look up and you change a channel and you look back and it was 12-6 and then it's 34-6. That's the style of play that they give you with their offense.
Stadium striping looked cool from your perspective?
I thought it was awesome. I would recommend doing it every game or having the pom-poms. I mean, you guys, whoever was there, I mean, what did y'all think? I thought that's what college football is supposed to look like. And I think it's really good. I think it looked like to me that the fans wanted to participate and be involved in it, just based on the success that we had from just looking up there myself. And I kind of checked it out when we came out, because we've talked about it for a few years, but I think it's important to create as much excitement and involvement with the fans as we can on game day.
Mike, you've gone out at least twice to early in the third quarter whenever they honor the Folds of Honor veteran to go shake their hand. And even in a tight game, what caused you to make that a priority?
Well, first thing is in a tight game, can't be any comparison to what they went through. And truthfully, I'm a full-blood American. I mean, those guys, for what they do for our country, are you kidding me? For essentially, basically for us to say thanks for your service. I mean, I can jog my skinny butt out there 30 yards and shake their hand, and I just think that's the right thing to do. I got a real soft spot for people like that.
Remember when that started? When you started doing that?
Well, this year, and the game day crew, people that take care of the game day here, they don't tell me anything about what's going on game day. So I didn't have any idea they were doing it. I just noticed that we did it in the first game, and it's the first thing that came to my mind was, there's a lot of people making other decisions on how they feel about patriotism. So I have a right to show how I feel, and I think it's important. Just my opinion.
What's your whole take on the Colin Kaepernick deal?
Well, I don't want to comment on anything like that, but I think I made it pretty clear based on, as John had mentioned, we're in a close game. I'm going to go out and thank that guy for his service. His family, right? His family's given up a lot.
And your feeling on that really has a lot to do with the way you were raised and your respect for the military and what those people, the sacrifices those people make.
Well, to a certain extent, it's almost like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men, right? I mean, grab a gun and go stand guard if you want to say something about it. I mean, that's just the way I feel. I mean, I don't want to get into the politics part of it and tell you who I'm voting for and all that, but I'm just going to say that I have all the respect in the world for people that are going to go fight for our country, because I'm not tough enough to do it. So.
Back to X's and O's. From a stressor, Baylor, they're so explosive with Cannon and with their passing game, yet they really want to run the football. It makes it tough on the secondary, the corners and the safeties, because they've got run support responsibility, but gosh, they don't want one of those guys running behind them.
Well, it's 8-man football, right? You take 2 guys or 3 guys, put them as far as you can on the sideline, and then you got to match up so that it's your 8 versus our 8, and minimizes numbers to be blocked, makes identification much easier for the 5-down lineman, also the quarterback in protection, and pretty simple process. It's just not easy to defend.
It's a downside to doing it.
Not sure right now. It hadn't been much over the last 3 years.
I'm not trying to be a wise man.
No, I mean,
If the Baylor offense is so great, why doesn't everybody just run the Baylor offense?
well, it's gaining ground, right? It's in Tulsa. It's in Bowling Green. It's at Syracuse, and it's at Texas. So I think it's gaining some ground. If you look at it from a football standpoint, it's really the veer offense, essentially, with 8 people involved, with a little bit of throwing game, depending on what the safeties do, is the best way to illustrate it and be simple.
What do you have to do it?
Are you saying if?
Personnel-wise, in other words,
Well,
you have to have a certain kind of quarterback. You have to have certain kinds of receivers.
see, he's really done. I say he, Coach Bryles has really done the same thing for a long, long time. Go back to Houston, and then prior to that, he was at Stephenville, and then spent some time with Coach Leach. And that offense was based on their quarterback play. And if their quarterback was throwing accurate passes, when they started recruiting really fast receivers that could make plays, the trend started moving in their favor. And that's where it came from. But you guys watch them enough, so you understand. But I think a lot of people across the country see it as a passing offense. It is a rushing offense. They run the football, and then they'll throw it over your head a few times when you're in there. But running the football is what's been their strength, in our opinion.
I think that'd be pretty tough to do what Coach Grove has done, to come in, and I'm assuming he hasn't worked with that style of offense and the schemes they play.
Yeah, you guys need to ask him, and I like Coach Grove from my time in the ACC, and then he's really involved with AFCA. But I would bet that he didn't vary much with their schemes.
Would that be hard to do, to just blink everything's equal? You go in and you're the head coach, but you're keeping someone else's philosophy.
I mean, obviously never done that, so it'd be hard for me to comment. I'm just, from an outsider looking in, it looks like that from a scheme standpoint, that he's just because they haven't changed. So he just said, okay, go ahead, and he might have taken over the rest of it. But I don't know, because obviously I'm not inside. So
Through 3 games, I think you guys are 7th in the country in tackles for loss, 30 of them. Do you think this defensive front has the potential to be better at stopping the run than most of your teams, or has the potential to be one of your better ones?
I think they have a chance to be a really good college defensive front if they stay healthy, keep working hard. Same thing we always talk about, because we have some depth. That gives them the best shot. All right, guys, thanks. Gals, thanks.